which...
With that?
Yeah, again, but I was always happy with that deal. I played football. I never chased any sort of plaudits from anybody. I knew I was very lucky. Looking back on my career, I certainly wasn't as good as people make it out. I was always involved with good teams. So I was very lucky. So I never needed to chase that, I suppose, the plaudits from the public. It never interested me. So I don't have to play that game with people. I don't have to pander to people and make them want to kind of like me a little bit. I just thought if people judged me on the football pitch and thought I was a decent player and done a decent job for a team, then that's fine. But I never really went chasing the other side of it. So I'm very comfortable with that, John.
Who were your grandparents?
My grandparents, or they were, obviously, again, I'll go back if you want to go talk about luck in the game. I did the luck I had since I was a kid. I've obviously come from a good background. Obviously, I'm a Keane. My mother's a Lynch. Growing up in Cork, sport, of course, a great sporting city. So no matter where I turned to, what about the family connections, we're all involved in sport, obviously very much soccer. So I came from good stock, I had a good DNA. And where I grew up in Cork, Mayfield, I opened my front door, there was games going on, whether it be hurling, football, soccer,
Was it a
boxing.
rough? Was it a rough part of the city?
No, I wouldn't use that word, no. Rough, no.
Would other people have thought it was rough?
Maybe, yeah, maybe. Sometimes when I was my kids were a bit younger, I'd obviously bring them back from England and we'd have a little spin up round to where I was obviously born and reared, and they would be, they'd be a bit unsure, But
was it a kind of small council houses? Was that?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay.
But that was the norm. But obviously that's...
But the amazing thing about that is, when you grew up in an estate, however your parents might feel about it, for kids, I mean, you walk out the front door,
that's brilliant,
and there's a culture out there embracing you, isn't there?
Yeah, it was great. And that's where the bit of luck came in for me. As I said, even when I was younger, my brothers played sport, all my uncles, and my dad. I was born to be involved in some sort of level of sport. So I was already in that environment of competing with people out in the street, obviously particularly soccer. Soccer was my game. I tried hurling and football and boxing, but soccer was my first love. So then even when I was 8 or 9 years of age, I signed for a team in Cork called Rockmount. And I was already in a brilliant environment with brilliant managers, brilliant players. We always had a good team. So I was already surrounded by people who were very, very good. People say, obviously, I worked hard, but lots of people work hard, but you still need the breaks. And I got down, go back to Rockmount, Cove Ramblers. A year League of Ireland was a great help to me. Going to England, play for Nottingham Forest, the great Brian Clough. Then getting to United, going into a Man United team that had just won the league. The feel-good factor, momentum was in the club. Playing with Ireland, obviously. I was very, very lucky.
I was talking to somebody one time about the difference between elite athletes and the rest of us. And he was saying that there's a dangerous point where you're able to tolerate pain, but there's a dangerous point where you go looking for it. And he was suggesting that the top men and women are able to do that. And was that part of your DNA?
Yeah, that's part of the game. That's what you play top level sport. But that's what I loved. I loved
pain.
Well, when you're playing top level sport is all about disappointments. But if you survive long enough, you get a few highs along the way, which I had in my career. But if you want to talk about disappointments, we could be here all night. Whether it be injuries, setbacks, falling out with people, sending offs. There's loads of that. But when you play on the edge, like I had to play because technically I wasn't actually a very good player. So my game was all about, I suppose, fitness and getting to people. And I played in a very important part of the pitch. I played in the middle of the park where part of my job was hitting people. And people were hitting me. So that was the game I was in. So when I played on the edge, which I had to play on the edge, because if I didn't play on the edge, I would have never made it to England. And with that, there's going to be a cost. There's going to be red cards. There's going to be injuries. A lot of my injuries happened in training, just by, obviously you train how you play.
Would you?
I finished at 34 with injuries, but that was the deal I had with myself. You know, I was going to have to go out and compete. I was competing every week.
Did you ever, looking back, did you ever, like, how much did you cry? Because it sounds like you had to turn yourself into something that you were able to turn yourself into, but it mightn't have been your natural state. I'm just wondering, like, did you ever, how did that affect you emotionally? Did you
In
cry?
terms of when I was playing?
Yeah.
No. I think the only time I really cried was when I left United after I had a bit of a disagreement with a few people. But yeah, but other than that, no, you're very much... Yeah, you've heard loads of sports people say you're in that bubble, you're in the zone. I always say I was in the zone. I used to always say to people, and they didn't quite understand that I was going to war every week.
Was it anger?
What, when I was playing, you mean?
Or just the ability to...
There was lots of emotions. Fear of losing, fear of letting your teammates down, fear of coming back to Ireland at a young age. You know, when I went to Forest, there was no good me going to Nottingham Forest and being back after a year. Loads of kids go to England from Ireland. I'd seen them, lads I played with, they come back after a year or two and it just didn't quite work out. That's no good. I wanted to get over there and have a good career. From a young kid watching, you know, there's, for example, when I was 9, 10 years of age, I wanted to play football. Watched the 1982 World Cup and I thought I need to become a professional football. I want to play in World Cups. I want to play football for a living, watching football every weekend, match of the day, watching all the top teams, watching brilliant Irish players. So yeah, that was my dream. Can I get to England? But the key for me, obviously, was getting first and foremost, I had to get a trial. I got a trial at Forest, and Brian Clough was obviously very good at giving young players an opportunity. He threw me in very, very quickly. And every time he spoke to me, I understood what he was talking about. He never complicated the game, ever. He never said anything to me that I was like, I don't get that. He kept it very, very simple. And to be fair to when I went to United, the messages from all the great managers is very simple, which I embrace because I'm not a great one for listening too much, you know. I get straight to the point, and the good players pick it up pretty quickly. Anyway, I've worked with good players even when I was a manager. You might do something in training, the good players pick it up straight away. If you're explaining to a player 4, 5, 6 times, you might have to forget about him.